We're joined by Karin Lee, the Director of International Relations at MSU, and one of her students from India. And they're going to tell you why MSU can deliver a true American experience for international students who study there. Now keep in mind that we'll be answering your questions live after the presentation's over. So be sure to submit your questions by clicking on the upper right-hand applications button and submitting your questions over on the right-hand side. You can also access the Mississippi State University profile by clicking also on the application icon and viewing the showcase. There you can click on the link to the profile and also a link to MSU's interactive brochure for international students. Okay, so now we'll send it over to Mississippi State where Karen's waiting. Karin, are you there?
I am there.
Well, welcome.
Well, I'm very happy to hang out with everyone. I know in India it's probably evening time, but over here it is early morning and very, very cold. I don't know how many degrees, but I think it's barely over 0 degrees Celsius. So you know it's pretty cold. I scraped my car this morning. Again, welcome very much to our Google Hangout. I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit about Mississippi State University. I know a lot of people are looking for a place to go and to study, and I have a great offer for you because you know what? Mississippi State offers affordable quality education and a true American college experience. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that on the next slide. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So first you have to make a choice. So why do you even want to study in the United States? Now I know Indian schools are great, but I know there are a lot more Indians than there are schools. So I totally understand that Indians are going elsewhere to study. So finances always come into the picture a lot, but other than finances, if you do spend the money to study in the United States, you want to make sure that you have state-of-the-art infrastructure facilities, right? You want to make sure that you have research opportunities, and there has to be some academic flexibility so that the things that you learned in your schools, wherever you come from, can be applied somewhere. And then talking about the experience again, you want to have a cultural experience. So we'll talk a little bit about on the next slide how Mississippi State can fill that void. So why would you want to come to Mississippi State? This student to faculty ratio right here, 19:1, that is a big one. Because you don't want to be in a large lecture hall for every single class. You want a teacher that actually knows your name. Think about that. This next point is something that sounds a little bit crazy, probably for all of you, but there are only 13 land, sea, and space grant institutions in the United States. We are one of the land grant institutions, and what that means is that the state of Mississippi gave us the land to build our university on, and in turn we have a mission to educate the people of Mississippi. So I'm going to get back to that point in a little bit later, but that's a big point to make. The Pathfinder program is another big reason why international students probably have a very good time here at Mississippi State. The Pathfinder program helps you to transition to college because I know from experience, having been in India, that your parents and your counselors, they do a very good job taking care of you. Well, when you come to college, it all ends. You have to take care of everything yourself, and that can be pretty overwhelming. So programs like the Pathfinder program kind of helps you get along, know what to do, so that's a good thing. And then the last point on that is we offer the second largest co-op program in the South. If you're not sure what a co-op program is, I'll tell you right now, real quick. Co-op program is actually a program where you can go study a semester, then you go and work a semester, and then you go back and study a semester, and when your co-op is over, not only do you have a degree, you also have some experience, and that is a very, very good thing. So let's go to the next slide, please. Some more. Ah, look at that. Here you see an Indian student with one of our, well, not one, actually our mascot. This mascot is called Bully. The other point that is really important, I think, to international students, and particularly Indian students, even though I told you it's really cold right now, that's not going to last. Generally, our climate is not that much different than what you see in India. It's usually hot and sticky. So for a few days, we have something cold, and then it goes back to warm. Another point that I want to make is Mississippi is in the South, and the South is known for its hospitality. International students always tell me, oh my gosh, people tell me good morning. Why do they do that? And I'm like, because they're friendly. They said, oh my gosh, I was so shocked, I didn't know what to say at first. So that is something you get used to really quick, let me tell you, especially females. Because the men here in the South, guess what? They open the doors for you. If you walk, and they will race you to the door so they can hold it open for you. You get really used to that super quick too. Now, a lot of you are doing really well academically, and so I encourage all of you to check out our Shackles Honors College, because there are so many opportunities through the Honors College, extra research, enrichment experiences, and not to mention scholarships. So make sure you do that. And then, last but not least, talking about the American experience again, football. Let me tell you, here in the South, football is king. I did not know how crazy it would be, but I mean, this is a small town. We maybe have, I would say, maybe 30 to 40,000 people on a regular basis. Come football, we probably have 120,000 people in this little town. It is mayhem, and everybody gets involved. It's amazing. They have something called tailgating, and they put up tents, and people just cook, and everybody eats together. It's a really good thing, and that is exactly what I'm talking about when I say an American college experience, because that is all part of it. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you very much. This is just a small overview, let you know that all these different colleges that we have. I'm not going to go too much into that. I believe you have our brochure that was in the link when you joined our handout, and all that information is there. But I just wanted to let you know that, for example, our College of Veterinary Medicine, I don't know that you know that, but we have one of only 28 veterinary medicine schools in the entire United States. So that's a pretty cool thing. Next slide, please. We are talking about money. As you can see, we're not exactly cheap, but then again, this is education. But when you think about it, our costs are really not that high compared to schools, say, in California or in the Northeast. And you are getting a quality education. This is a Tier 1, Carnegie 1 research university. And yet, you are still only paying a little over $20,000 to study here. And that's pretty amazing. Now, let's go to the next slide, please. Remember when I talked about the land grant and why is this important? Well, here you go. I just showed you how expensive or inexpensive. Mississippi State is. So now I'm trying to tell you why we are inexpensive. We are inexpensive because we are a public land-grant university. And that means we have to educate the people of Mississippi. Now, I didn't put this on the slide, but I'm going to let you in on a secret. Mississippi is actually the state in the United States with the lowest per capita income. So the people here in Mississippi just don't have that much money to pay big tuition fees. If it is our mission to educate the people of Mississippi, we really don't have a choice but to keep our tuition costs low. But you know, that's really good news for you. International students don't really pay that much more either, so you get a very good education for an affordable price. Next slide, please. And talking about affordable price, we are one of very few universities that actually give the same kind of scholarships for undergrads, international undergrads that is, than we do for domestic ones. So if you are an academically talented student and you take a good ACT or SAT, have a good score according to this chart that you see, you can almost get a free ride here. And when you consider that our cost of living here is not very high, you can probably make it on a fraction of the cost than what you pay somewhere else. So keep that in mind. Now, for those of you who are not good test takers like me, you could always, well, you don't have to have the ACT to be admitted at Mississippi State or the SAT. If you don't require a scholarship, you can come and study without that. So that's a good thing to know too. But if you want a scholarship, these are the ranges in this slide that you need to know about. Next slide, please. I'm just talking a little bit about the undergraduate application. Everything that we have is online, so you just fill out an application online. Again, you can explore our colleges and majors. And if you have questions, there's an email in that slide. So I urge you to go ahead and go to that email and send us any question that you might have. We have a recruitment team consisting of international students and also domestic students who will answer your questions. And they're really, really cool. Okay, next slide, please. Most of you, this is not going to be a problem because most of you are going to probably have the English skills. However, if there are any of you that do not have a high enough TOEFL, no problem, because we have an English language center right here on our campus. And if you do lack some of the English proficiency, you can go to our English Language Institute first. And then once you pass through all those classes, you can be fully admitted. And that is a very good deal. Next slide, please. So I've talked about a little bit about living at Mississippi State. It is in a rural area. So, you know, there's not hustle and bustle and large crime and all that stuff. It's not scary. I guess that's what I'm trying to tell you. We have both on-campus and off-campus housing available, but if you're coming as a freshman, you are expected to live in the dorm because we want you to have that true American experience. And if you live with all your countrymen, although it may be cheaper, think about it. How are you going to get an American experience if you're just around Indians? So I would really encourage you to go ahead and live that first year on campus so that you can get the full experience. After all, you're paying for it. Keep that in mind. Living on campus means you probably won't be cooking so much, so we have various meal plan options. And I do know that they have, for sure, vegetarian meal plan options, so that would not be a problem. Now, once you are past your freshman year, you could probably well, a lot of the students move off campus. One of the reasons, too, is it's just kind of crowded. But even if you live off campus, I think you can live in an apartment and probably pay about $300 to $400 for a room. So it's not too bad. And some of them are more. If you want more luxury, you're going to pay more. And by the way, that goes for the dorms too. We have also single occupancy luxury dorms, but I'm talking very expensive. But you can check that out yourself. I know you're smart. So I talked about this before. Compared to states like New York, California, you're going to get a very, very reasonable cost of education. Next slide, please. Resources, that's another thing too. Say you come and you study and you learn, oh my gosh, I'm not that good in writing. Guess what? As a student, you can always get extra help, and it's at no cost. They're always there. In the Learning Center, they even have tutors for you. So all these things are there. And I touched on the Career Center earlier when I talked about the co-op options. There are other ways too. We have internships and all these things. And our Career Center here on campus will help you secure some of these. They even give you help with writing a resume and interviewing. So that's a very good thing. And going back again to the experience, we have over 300 student organizations on our campus, and we urge you to really get involved. You know, it's important to study, but you also need to kind of get involved and be part of this university. I mean, after all, that's going to be your home for a while. So you need to know people, you need to make friends, you need to feel like you're at home and you want to do something for your community. We have a lot of volunteer organizations here, so we're counting on you. Undergraduate research opportunities, study abroad, all those options are available for you. As an international student, you can still study abroad somewhere else. Absolutely, you can. Many of our students go abroad for just the summer, so think about that. And undergraduate research, since we are a Tier 1 research university, that is a really, really big plus for undergraduate students because it looks good and it gives you some more of that needed experience. Since we can't study all the time, we have to go and have a little fun. So you can always go to the Sanderson Center, which is our sports and recreation place. They have all kinds of games. We even have a cricket club, so hey, no excuses here. You can do anything. We have cricket, we have badminton, we have soccer, or I'm from Germany, so Fußball, yay, world champion. And we have a really, really, really big library that stays open all night long, but my student Sagar, who will be talking about that, to tell you a big story about that. So let's go to the next slide, and I believe that's our last one. I just urge you to go and find us on social media. Hook up with us. Check us out, see what's going on. We're on Tumblr, we have a blog. You can be interactive with us. Let us know what you're listening to. Post your pictures, post your comments. We'll get back with you. And we're also on WeChat, so you can find us pretty much everywhere. So now we are done with our presentation, and I'm going to talk a little bit to our student here. I'm going to introduce him. This young man right here is Sagar Shetty. And I hope I pronounced your name right.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Now, Sagar is a sophomore in business administration. Is that correct?
That's right.
It's refreshing to see someone who is not an engineer. Very nice. So, Sagar, what brought you here? Why Mississippi State?
So I was originally an engineering major, and so the first thing I did was I looked at universities down south because quite a couple of them down here have like good research abilities, and then definitely affordability was a big part of it. And then Mississippi State offered some extensive scholarships for international students, and it was completely based on merit. So I was a pretty good performing high school student, and I realized my scores from SATs or whatever would result in a pretty good scholarship. So I applied for that, and then I noticed that the Carnegie Foundation designates this university as a very high research activity. And research is pretty much a phenomenal part of your engineering degree because someone who has a background in research makes an excellent employee for companies. So that was one of the two biggest considerations. And then I had a couple of friends apply to the same university. So it's a nice experience getting to go to university with friends from back home. So I took all of that into consideration, applied to a few places, and then I finally decided Mississippi State was it.
Well, we're really happy that you chose us.
I'm happy to. It was a great decision.
So when you first got here, did you live in a dorm?
Yeah, it's a freshman requirement to live in a dorm. So I lived at Herbert Hall, which is one of the oldest buildings on campus, and it's actually pretty much they won't even tear it down because it's part of the culture down here. So that's pretty cool to find out.
It's old.
Yeah, it definitely is pretty old.
So has living in a dorm helped you make American friends?
Oh yes, definitely. Part of being and they actually have a whole culture for living in dorms. It's called residence life. And then one of the biggest aspects of residence life is community, and it helps you get out of your shell, get to know people. It sort of helps you get used to the culture down here when you live in the dorms. Yes. And I actually am employed with the department as a resident advisor.
Oh, really?
So yeah, sort of stepped up from being a resident to a resident advisor. It's an amazing opportunity. It helps you get these freshmen to adjust to college and get to know each other and foster community.
That's good.
Yes.
That's really good. So tell me, what was the biggest surprise that you, I guess, found when you came to Mississippi State, like your expectation? What were you surprised most about? Let me put it this way.
So pretty much everything I knew about America came from Hollywood movies and TV shows.
Oh!
That's it's a completely different aspect. You wouldn't believe America is so different. Like every corner has its own culture, its own way of living, and then it's sort of surprising to see that. And obviously the biggest thing would be Southern culture because I had never been exposed to that before. And then coming from Mumbai, where people just live their lives and they're always in a rush, in a hurry, they don't stop. To see people literally just stop there and open doors for you, like you mentioned, that was definitely one of the biggest things. Like I had to get used to that because every time I didn't hold it open, I was like, I felt bad. But then I tried to do that when I went back to Mumbai this summer, and then people would just look at me like, "What are you doing?" So it sort of rubs off on you, and then it's a great thing, really. It's amazing.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy the little bit more laid-back lifestyle here. Even though it's a big university, it doesn't seem like it, does it?
It's definitely really laid back. You come to appreciate a rural setting, especially if you come from a city, because especially a city like Mumbai, where you hear a constant buzz and a sound at whatever time of day, and then you come down here, it's so quiet. It's really relieving, especially for a college student.
I understand.
Yes.
Now, what about other experiences, academic, for example? How different is it to study here?
First of all, the biggest thing that I really appreciate about the system down here is the flexibility. It allows you to, understand more of who you are and what your interests are. Because I might have switched from engineering to business, but then it was an informed decision that was made after I enrolled in a whole bunch of different classes. Because that's one thing you don't find in the Indian system is that flexibility. Down here, they allow you to take whatever classes you want, and then the curriculum's pretty broad, so you get exposed to all these different kinds of subjects, and then you can make a better decision about what interests you the most. So that's one of the things academically are really good for you.
That's great. What about do you see any differences in relationships between American professors and their students and Indian professors and their students?
Absolutely not. As long as you're a good student, doesn't matter where you're from or who your professor is, you can always foster a good relationship between them. And it's up to you. As long as you decide that you want to have a good relationship with the professor and you want to discuss doubts, they're always open for questions. And yeah, they're really helpful.
Now I know here in the U.S. we have something called office hours, so students can usually go and talk to their professor if they have a problem or don't understand something.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good thing. I don't know if this is this something that they do in India as well?
Not to the degree they have it down here, because for every single class you have professors explicitly lay down hours outside of classes where you can go meet them, and they help you from the tiniest little doubt you have to pretty much explaining the entire concept again, which is pretty amazing. So you get this direct teacher to student relationship where they, help you with yours.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to have to start answering some questions here a little bit. Let me see. I'm going to have to come closer. Sorry, guys. My face is going to look really, really, really big. Someone asked me a question here. Are there any graduate courses in pharmacy? Unfortunately, we do not have a pharmacy program. So the answer is no. That would be the other school, the one that we called the school up north,
Right.
Old Miss. So, sorry. Are there any more questions? Okay. If you have any questions, go ahead and submit your questions, and we will answer them. And if there aren't any more questions, I guess we can ask. Okay. I'm checking. I don't see any questions, do you? Okay. Well, in that case, we'll just continue talking with Sagar. No problem. So, Sagar, you told me that you just spend the night. Ooh, listen to that. Spend the night in the library studying. Now, is that because it's finals week?
Yes, yes. Finals week forces you to do things you normally wouldn't do. But then you come to appreciate the kind of facilities they have down here. Like, the library is open 24 hours a day for all of finals week, which is
great.
amazing. Like, I literally was at the library right before I came here. So it definitely helps you out, because the library is the kind of place where you can concentrate, and having it open 24 hours.
That's really, really good.
Yes.
Now, do they do something in the library? Like, do they feed you? Give you cookies?
Oh yeah,
like that?
there's free coffee for us, and then
Free coffee. Yay.
it's the best. They make sure that you have a great time while studying, that you have everything you need, all the facilities, whatever you need.
That sounds good. Is there anything else you want to tell us about Mississippi State, your experience?
One of the biggest parts of this university's identity would be football, because it's big. Like, football is incredibly big in America. The first thing you learn is not confuse football with soccer. Like, I still say football for soccer, but then again, nothing describes the kind of feeling you get when you're in a stadium with 20,000 people cheering, and the kind of spirit that is, it's amazing.
Talking about spirit, we ring a cowbell here, don't we?
Yeah, that was kind of hard getting used to that, but I did, and then it's an amazing aspect. Like, it makes us one of the most unique football.
Tell us, how does that, how is it, how can you describe that with, I don't know, how many people does our stadium hold? About 60, I think?
Yes, about that many people.
60,000 people, and they're all ringing a cowbell?
Yeah, imagine one ringing. It's pretty loud, and then you have 20,000 people do it at the same time.
Oh, so my goodness.
It's definitely loud.
That is crazy.
It is.
So, tell me one more thing. So, we talked about academics, we talked about living. What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? The Sanderson Center, it has everything imaginable that you can do for fun. And then apart from that, we have 300 different organizations. So whatever your interest can be, it can be something as random as, anime or something, or it could be speech and debate. We have a club for pretty much every single activity out there.
Okay. Now, someone asked me another question, and that's wonderful. Rohit Chopra, he's asking me, do you have a mass communication major? Yes, the answer is yes. Yes, we do. And we have actually a very good communication program, and I can tell you that from first-hand experience because I got my undergrad in communication. So, yay, it's a good program. Great, thank you. Thank you for the question. Okay, so going back to Sagar one more time. Sagar, you told me you're going to the Sanderson Center.
Mhm.
What else do you do for fun? I mean, just sports, that it?
Apart from sports, there's pretty much everything going on every single day of the week. Like it can be a program thrown by Housing and Residence Life, or it could be something by the Student Association. So there's programs for like everything. And I'm part of the International Student Advisory Board, and then we are sort of the spokesperson for the 700 or so international students we have on campus, and we put through programs like every single week.
That's a really good thing, the International Student Advisory Board. So international students have a voice. I really like that. And I urge you guys, if you come to Mississippi State or really any other university, get involved in that. Be active. And I think we've got another question, and it's Rohit Chopra. He's full of questions, but that's fine. We'll answer it. How are the athletic facilities? Well, we just talked about it. Come on.
Top of the line, it's whatever you could possibly need from athletics. It's present and it's available at all times, and it's always staffed. So it's clean, it's kept, it's well maintained. It's always.
Do you have to pay extra to use the Sanderson?
No, it's not. It's part of your fees as an undergraduate student, so it's free of charge pretty much.
And I do know, for example, the Sanderson Center also offers some really strange things like scuba diving.
Oh yeah.
And what do you call that climbing wall thing?
Oh,
they
yeah,
have a big.
We have a rock climbing wall.
Yeah, they have a rock climbing wall. Look at that in Mississippi, because we have so many hills and rocks, right?
Yeah.
No.
And we even have free classes. Like we've got swimming coaching, we've got basketball coaching, we've got whatever you need.
So you can learn how to swim here too. Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And we got another question. This one is from Vamsi. Oh, I hope I'm not going to butcher your name. Vamsi Chedipotu? Chedipotu. Thank you, Sagar. Okay. Is that guy an Indian? Who is that guy? Yes, he's an Indian.
I'm Indian.
He's Indian. Yes, he is.
I'm settled in Mumbai.
Uh-huh.
And I did spend some time in Dubai, but I'm Indian. Very, very Indian.
He's very, very Indian. So the answer is yes. Good question. Okay, so let's see, what else can we talk about? We can talk about food.
Oh yes, food. It was kind of hard getting used to the food because you're used to all the flavor and the spices, and then that just gets, it sort of disappears. But then we have an Indian restaurant in town.
That's right, we do.
It's as good as food back home. Apart from that, we have the Indian Student Association, have like programs where they get Indian food from from pretty far away. But then we have like a buffet and everything set up. So if you like Indian food, you get.
I think also the Indian Student Association is very big in putting out like festivals and things. I know we celebrated Diwali, and they have some kind of welcoming thing.
Yeah,
right?
we've got a whole bunch of Indian festivals, Diwali, and then we're gonna have Holi next semester.
And Holi, yeah.
Should be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I participated in that one time. I was covered in head to toe with stuff.
Colors, yes, a whole bunch of colors.
It was fun. It
was. And then they also have other programs apart from that showcase dance, music, singing, whatever you can do. It's a platform for showcasing whatever talents you have.
That's really, really good. So, is there anything else you might want to tell us about?
It takes a while to get used to this place, but then it's an amazing experience basically because you have so many cultures come together.
Okay, there's another question, and again from Rohit. He's just full of questions. Are there places outside of campus, fun places? Talk about.
Definitely. There's downtown Starkville, which has pretty much everything you can imagine in terms of food. They have cuisine, they have all sorts of cuisines. They have Chinese, Indian, Japanese, Thai, they have a whole kind. They have pretty much everything. And then apart from that, we have a bowling alley, just like right off campus. And then on campus too, they always organize trips and things to, like, other states and things, so you can go with people.
The key to Mississippi State is it's not so much, as I mentioned before, we are in a rural area. So this is not a big city. Don't expect that. But you can drive 2 hours, you're in Birmingham. You can drive 2 hours the other direction, you are in Memphis. And those are very big cities. You can drive about 4.5 hours and you're in Atlanta, which is a giant city. So it's not that bad. And many times what students do is they pool their resources, put their money together, rent a car.
Mm-hmm.
One person drives or two, and you can cheaply go and see things because you can share the cost. So the money that you save on accommodations, you can spend on travel. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got another question. And you rate, okay. Oh my goodness, how can you do that? An IT in India. I don't know. You're going to have to answer that one, Sagar.
Okay, so I'm not trying to be,
The question is, how would you rate the education in Mississippi State when compared to an IIT in India?
Right. As an engineering major at first, the first thing I considered, of course, was IITs because they're the highest ranked in India. But then, as opposed to IIT, we don't have 60 people competing for one seat down here. We don't have more people than seats can ever fill. Apart from that, definitely we have better research facilities than IITs can lay claim to. So, in an IIT, you're put in a competitive environment where they only focus on studies, but here you get overall development as a student.
Oh, talking about development, we have award-winning teams. For example, we have something called the Eco Car.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can't remember who sponsors it, but I think it's one of the big oil companies. And I think Mississippi State has won the title for that competition. It's a competition for 3 years in a row, which is pretty amazing. And I think the competition is they have to design a car that runs on maximum fuel capacity. I don't know. How does that work?
It's called EcoCar, and it has a pretty big budget where you literally get a car from Chevrolet, and then you're supposed to make it more fuel efficient, more conservative in terms of energy, and then you literally get to rework an entire car as students. So think about that, the kind of facilities you get. And all the competitions are incredible. I was part of the Formula SAE team where we built a Formula car out of scratch completely by ourselves.
Wow.
And it's a national competition with more than 125 universities
That's
participating.
amazing. So how did we do?
Oh yeah, we did pretty well. We've been steadily climbing the ranks,
Great.
especially considering that we're relatively new to the competition as opposed to colleges like Stanford or whatever. But yeah, we're doing pretty good, and then we just see ourselves going forward.
That's good. Let me see if there are any more questions. I don't think I see any more. So we were talking about all the different opportunities that we have, like the Eco Car. I know one of my student workers, she's in civil engineering, and they do something, it's like a concrete canoe that they design, and they have races in it. When I first learned about a concrete canoe, I thought surely it would sink, but it doesn't. So it's pretty amazing. And what else do we have? We have robotics. I forgot about the robotics competition. I know that's a pretty big one, right?
Right. And if you don't mind,
Sure.
I just noticed the question about cybersecurity.
Yeah,
I actually
go
had a
ahead.
friend who was in the electrical engineering program.
Can you read the question for us?
Yeah, I can. Could you please talk a little bit about the cybersecurity program? It's one of the nation's best programs. That is very, very true, because I had a friend who was an electrical engineering major who switched to the cybersecurity program, and we had a chat about how it was the nation's best because the professor in that department is actually one of the best minds in the field. Like
Wow.
represents Mississippi State at one of the best conventions for cybersecurity. So it definitely is one of the best programs we have right here.
Well, that's great. I've heard of that too, the cybersecurity.
Yeah.
We had a big conference here at one time. I know about that. So yeah, that's a good question, and I hope you guys understood. It was a little bit low, but cybersecurity. This is from Mohammed Nadim. Thank you for that question. That is a very, very big thing here at Mississippi State, and so thank you for answering that, Sagar. Are there any more questions? I don't think we have any more. So I think we could probably wrap it up. What do you say, Sagar?
Yeah, sure.
I want to thank Sagar for being here with me after staying up all night and studying in the library. So I'm going to say goodbye from Mississippi State. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much to both of you. We really appreciate having you both here and giving your great insights about Mississippi State. And we also want to thank everyone in our audience who participated and who submitted those great questions. We hope we were able to answer those for you. If you still have more questions, or if you want to contact Karin directly, be sure, like I said earlier, to go to the showcase, which is on the side panel on your Google Hangout, and you can click directly to the MSU profile that's on internationalstudent.com. From there, you can submit your personal information directly to Karin, and she can answer any additional questions that you might have or tell you how to apply to Mississippi State University. So thanks again for joining us, and thanks again, Karin.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.